Hello and welcome to my screen again. Today we are going to talk about time series analysis. So when we say time series analysis, what is it? What do we mean? It is just a specific way of analyzing a data or analyzing a sequence of data points collected over an interval of time. So sometimes you might have a data set that is collected over a time from this year up to this year. And then when the time series data is complete, the plot becomes very, very easy because it's just an amount of joining the dots in an ordered set of Y values. The issue arises when there is missing values in the time series, particularly group of missing values for which periods are typically known, nothing about the behavior of the time series. So I am going to show you how we can actually do time series. So let's get started. So the first thing we have to do is by loading Pacman. So I will just do that. So I will say time series. Let me bring it here. We are going to also upload Pacman. So Pacman is here. Pacman is here. So Pacman is just a library to load all libraries. So it's a library overload library. If you have Pacman on your computer, you can just load this. But if you don't have it, then you have to install Pacman first. And you know how to install packages. So after we have done that, we now load our data sets. So we are going to use our data sets and then load it over here. So we load our data sets. Very, very nice. So let's run the Pacman and then let's run the data set too. So we have been able to load the data set. Now let's talk about it one after the other. We have single time series. So when you talk about single time series, it is just a time series that is just on a single data. It's not like multiple time series. So it's just on the simple data. So let's look at the data set from the United States population. So let's look at how we are going to get the information about it. So if you want to look at how to get information about it, we use this. So this question mark and then we say US pop. So we run it and it's going to tell you that it is a population recorded by the United States Census. And it is done from 1790 to 1970 over here. So after you have done that, right, the best thing we have to use is that we can view the data or display the data sets. So we use this code to view the data sets. So we view the data set. So the data set, it tells you that it is a time series data over here. So if you want to get more information about time series, we can also use question mark and then time series, TS. So we do this and then you say command and then we run this. So it tells you time series that. Another way we have to do is that if you want to check whether the data set is a time series data, what the best thing you have to do is that you look at the class. You look at the class. So let me show you how to look at the class. You just say class US pop and see the class of it. So after you run it, it tells you that it's a time series data. Another thing is that if you want to ask if the data is a time series data, you say it's ts.us pop. So we just do this, and then we are just asking if the data set is a time series data. So you say it's.ts and then US pop. So you just run it, and it tells you that it's true. So it tells you that this is a TS time series data. Another thing is looking at the structure of the data set. So if you want to look at it, we use the structure function to just look at it, and then you look at it and it tells you that it's time series from 1 to 19 and it's from 1790 and 1970, and it is a time series data. it shows you everything here that it is a time series data. So now let's get everything started. So if you want to plot everything by default, you can just use, because it is just a time series, everything, there is nothing like a missing value, and then it is also this data is also inherited from a time series class. What you have to do is that we can just plot it by default. So let me show you how to do that by the default. So by looking at the default, it is everything over here. When you look at it over here, we just plot it. I guess using a plot function, not a time series function, and look at how it's going to do that. So we are going to plot the US population, and then the main is a time series analysis of US population. Look at this sign. It tells you that I want to break it into two. So you do the sign here from 1990, so from 1790 to 1970. So we just plot it. After you plot it over here, look at how everything is done over here. We look at it. This is just the time series analysis. Look at it. It's just a US population growth from 1790 to 1970. And when you look at here, you can see that here it wasn't climbing. So it became a little steady over here. So what we have to do is that we can plot into details and see what it can give us. This is a time series data, but look at how we are using a plot function to just do that. So we want to do that and plot it, but this one we are going to use piping to do that. So what we have to do is that we want to, let me give some space over here. So we have to, plot in the time series in details. We use the US population data, then we pipe it, and then we plot it. The main is time series analysis of the US population from 1790 to 1970. And this is the title. Then we can also use the type title. Then you say the source of the data is US population data. So, and then this is just the naming the axis. So y-axis is this, and then x-axis is this. Let's run this data and see what it's going to give us. So you run it, and it's basically the same thing. So now, when you look at it, you see that I told you that from here up to here, it was a little steady. Maybe probably because of the recession time, people were dying in the United States, and then I mean, historians can tell you much about it. There were nothing like immigration. Immigration became very. Everybody was afraid to move to the United States, so the population, and then people were dying because of the recession time. So people were. So if you want to look at it, let's look at how we can do that. We can, let's say, we assume that it started from 1930 to 1940. That is a range of 10 years. So what you have to do is that we can use an upline function. The upline function is one of the ways of drawing a regression line, but we can also use it to draw a vertical line. So we do this. We draw the upline line, and we say it is vertical. So after the vertical, we say which year, 1930. Then it's then 1980, then we 30, then we use color. What color are we going to use? We use a green color. Let's run it and see. When you run it, you can see that it has in 1930 you have given the data over here. Another thing you can also do is that you can add a text to it. So if you want to add a text to it so that you can just name it, this is how we are going to do it. So you run this code, then you say the text, and then the text you say 1930. So 1930, then you say on 20, where it's like, is it on the line or it should go above the line? So you say then what are you going to write there? 1930, and then the color should be black. So let's run it and see. So you run it, and this is at the 20th, the 20. If you say 50, it will come here. But here, because of the space, we just want to make sure we do that. Another thing is that 1942, we can also do the same thing. Let me just do that over here. So 1940 to vertical, and then the color is green, and the text 1940, you should just go on 2, only 2, and then you should name it 1940, and the color should also be black. So we run it, and it gives us the vertical line, and then we write the text. So it tells you that in the US population here between 1930 and then 1940 was the time that we had the recession. So you can see that the bump is already here. So now, after you have done that, we can also do the same thing by using the time series plots. And this can also deal with multiple time series, but we just want to use the same data to do that. So let me just, we are going to use the time series plot. So by plotting with a time series over here, it becomes very easy. So what is a time series over here? It tells you that this is multiple time series. It can plot multiple time series, and this is how we can do it. We can do it. Now let's look at how everything is already here. Let's look at how we can run the data set. So we are going to run the same data set and see how whether it's going to give us the same thing. So we do that, and then let's run the data set and see. This is the time series data set for US population. The main is the name, everything is here. The title is here, the subtitle is here. Then the axis, naming the axis are also here. Let's run it and see. Press Command plus Enter to run it, and it also gives you the same thing. So if you want to do the same thing as what we did, it is very, very simple. We can just copy the code over here and then do it, because it is just so I just copy and then paste it over here. You run it, it gives you the first green over here. Let's pay attention to this side. So we run the test too, and then we draw another line, and then we also do it, and then it shows you everything here. So this is telling you that this is where the population was not increasing. Maybe probably people were not giving birth, people were, maybe the death rate was high. So another thing is that we can also use piping. This one, we just use a time series plot, just a normal time series. Another thing we can also do is that we can use piping to do that. And it becomes very, very easy. So let me just do that and then explain over here. So we are going to use piping to also do the same thing over here. Look at it. So we use the piping, the US population, then we pipe it, then we draw a time series plot. Apart from that, everything is the same. So let's run it and see. We run this one, it gives us the same thing. We run this, we run it, we run it, we run it, run this, and it also gives us the same thing. So we have different ways of doing it. You choose whichever works for you. That is very, very nice. Another thing is what we can use there. This was ts.plot. So another thing we can also use is plot.ts, and this is also very powerful alternative. Very powerful alternative. We can do that. So that one, let me see. Sorry. So we just run it and see. This one is a plotting time series object. This one is also very, very easy. And then so basically we are going to use the same code to do that, and let's run it and see. So we do that, and then we run it, plot the time series for US population. The main is the title, the subtitle, the axis, and then all the lines over here. Let's run them and see. We run it, we run this, we run this, we run this. So it tells you that the plot.ts and then the ts.plot, they are basically the same. But so the difference is that regarding the how do we call it, ts.plot is more powerful because it can do everything in one window. It can just do everything within the same plot in details. So this is for single time series data. Now let's look at multiple time series data. A multiple time series data is a time series data that analyze the sequence of a data set within a sequence of time with multiple columns. So we are going to look at the European stock market. So European stock market, we look at it over here. So this is multiple time series. Let's run it and then see what is that. So it tells you that this is the daily closing price of major European stock indices. And it started from 1991 and then to 1998. And then the stocks are Germany, that is the DAX, the Switzerland, SMI, the France, which is the CAC, and then the UK is so this is multiple time series data. So if you want to view the data sets, it is very, very, very simple. You just run this code, then you just view it. And it tells you that it started from 19, it goes down. When you look at it, it starts from here, 1991. The DAX, the this, and then this, everything is already here. The DAX, which is for the Germany, the SMI, which is for the Switzerland, the CAC, which is for the France, and then the FTSE, which is also for the United Kingdom. So what we have to do is that we can use the generic plot command, which is the normal one, and then we can run it and see. So we do that by running this code. And when you do that, we just run the code over here, and then it plots everything here. So you can see that this one is showing a stack windows, and they keep tracking of each other. So when you look at the DAX, the SMI, and everything over here, you look at how they are going up and down, how they are going up and down. In 1998, the stock market went up a little, so everything here. So if you invested, if you are very good in looking at stocks, those who invested here, those who invested when it was in the dip, they were able to get a lot of money when it went up over here. And right after that, it declined. You can see that it declined over here. So if you are smart enough, you will be able to take off your money and then make a lot of profits out of it. So another thing we can also do is that using the plot.ts command. And then let's plot it and then see how it is going to also do that. So we do use the plot.ts and then the Euro stock market, and we are going to use color green. So let's look at it with color green. So the color is green over here. It tells you everything. So basically, this is telling you the same story as the plot function. So you can see how powerful the plot function is, and then the time series function. So another thing we have to do is plotting by using the ts.plot, because this is plot.ts. And let's look at how this one is also going to happen over here. So we copy this code and then we paste it over here. So ts.plots and then Euro market, and then we are going to use heat colors and see how it is going to that. So we do that, and it tells everything is within the same window. Everything is within the same window, and this one keeps tracking. You see that they keep overlapping, it goes up, and it tells you which one has the highest one. So when you look at the stock market, you can see that the Germany stocks was a little higher. When you look at the data, it was just here. It keeps moving. So the Germany was here a little higher when it began. When it went down, it declined. So if you are into trading, you will know how to see what you can do during those times. So I mean, if you want to bring the title to, you just use the same function and then use main, and then you do that. So you do it and then run it, and it gives you that. So, okay, this is the Euro stock market. So that is basically that. Let's look at another type of data set. Another type is the monthly death from lung disease in the United Kingdom. That one too, let's run them and then see. So we are going to look at this data sets. So basically, we use data and then the UK lung death. If you want to view the data set to you, you look at this and then it tells you the monthly death from UK and lung disease in the United Kingdom. And it tells you that both sex from 1974 to 1979. And this one, L death, is telling you that this is for those who, this is the both sex, and the M death is for the male, so the male, those who died, and then this one is for the female who died. So that is how it is done. So what we have to do is that we can plot it and see. We are going to use the ts.plot and so that it will give us everything in the stock window. So let me post this code. Let me explain it over here. So we are going to use a time series plot over here, and then we look at the elder, the number of those who died. This is the male, and then the female who died. This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the title. And then this one, LT1, is telling you how the lines should be. The first one is supposed to be thick. This one is supposed to be a little broken, and this one is the third one is supposed to be light. So this is how you want to use the light, and this is helping you so that you can identify them very well, and we can use the rainbow color so that it will give us different colors. Let's run it and see. So you run that, and then it is telling you that it's telling you everything over here. The number of people from both sexes, which is this is for the year, and then the number of death. So this here is telling you for both of the sex how it went to. You can see that in 1976, the number of people who died were very, very high, and you can even see from here. But you can see that the number of males who died, which is the green one, were higher than the number of female who died. So that is basically. But apart from that, when you look at it, you can see that anytime that it's like it's had its peak in each of the year, it's had its peak, and then in the middle during the summer section, the number of the people who die from lung disease reduces. So you can see from basically the same data. Let's look at another data set. So that is going to be our last data set we are going to use. That is the sunspots data. So we are going to use another way to do that. So we run the data sets. Then we want to look at it, and it is telling you that the monthly sunspots numbers from 1749 to 1983. So when you look at it over here, you can plot it, and it's very, very. You can also look at it. This one, you can look at it. So you can say it's dot time series sunspots. It tells you that it's true. So this one is telling you that this one was inherited from a time series class. You can also look at a class. Sunspots. And look at, the sunspots. And it tells you that it's a set of time series data. Because of that, you can just use the plot function to just do that. And if you want to use the plot function to just do it, it's very, very easy. You just run it, you just plot it. You can also use a time series plot, and everything works for you. You just plot it, and then you just go your way. Just plot it and see. You plot it, and it tells you everything over here. So you look at the sunspot when it went to its peaks and when it's declined. So this is all about time series data. Thank you so much, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.